It's Tuesday, March 9th, and this is now on H&N.
We're very concerned that people stay out of the area as much as possible.
An update on the ongoing severe weather situation statewide. Torrential rain on Maui caused the dam to overflow. The flooding prompted evacuations, washed out roads and several homes, and left residents on edge.
I mean, it's just a lot of rain.
In 2006, a dam broke on Kauai, killing 7. In 2018, another scare happened in Nu'uanu. A closer look at the ongoing safety concerns.
We are not prepared.
We've got team coverage of the still developing severe weather situation coming up on This Is Now.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching This Is Now. Crews on Maui will be checking the Kaupakalua Dam today to see if it's structurally sound after torrential rain caused the dam to overflow, forcing evacuations for surrounding areas. Maui Mayor Mike Victorino says at least half a dozen homes have been flooded. The Kaupakalua Bridge was heavily damaged and the Peahi Road Bridge was destroyed. We'll hear more from him in just a few minutes. And at last check, water levels at the Kaupakalua Reservoir were roughly 3 feet below the top of the dam. We have a crew on the ground on Maui and we'll bring you any developments as they happen.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching This Is Now. We have so much to get to. I want to start with this. This is live radar, and I want to show you this because there is a flash flood warning that has been extended for Oahu because of those heavy rains. Look at it falling on the north shore there. But that's not it. Check out the Big Island. This is our Hilo live camera, and there's a flash flood watch that remains in effect for the entire state until tomorrow morning. We just talked to the National Weather Service's Bob Ballard to get the very latest update on everything that's going on outside.
We have a couple different things going on. There is a pocket of unstable air that's been over the islands from an upper level trough, and that's been around for several days actually, just keeping our air mass more unstable. So, you know, when you've been getting those showers, it's rained harder than usual. It's not like typical trade wind showers. But now what's going on is we also have a little bit of a low pressure trough at the surface, which is starting to turn our winds away from trades for a little bit. And we're going to have southeasterly flow. It's going to be warm, a little bit humid, and that is helping to get the air mass kind of ignited with lots of showers and thunderstorms as well.
And talk about some of the rain totals we've seen so far. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it has been quite an event. We have seen, not everybody's gotten clobbered, of course. Statewide got a pretty good dose of rain last night. But yesterday, you know, we saw 1.5 to 2 feet of rain over parts of Maui. And Hilo side of the Big Island, they've been really wet as well. They've had almost a foot of rain in about 3 days. So we've had a lot of rain coming down. Some areas have gotten hit a little harder, some areas not so much, but everybody last night got a pretty good soaking. So now that's what we're concerned about, is this saturated ground from the rain that everybody's gotten. It really won't take that much more heavy rain to see flash flooding.
Everyone's concerned about the Valley Isle after what we saw go down yesterday with the dam. Are they in the clear? Any good news there, or still on real watch now?
Well, we're keeping a really close eye on them because, of course, after yesterday's rains, they are super saturated. The heaviest rain looks like temporarily it's pulled off of Maui. A lot of that is kind of moving a little bit farther toward the north and west. Of course, Oahu's gotten heavy rain today. We're still concerned for Kauai. What we think might happen, though, over the next couple of days is we might see a resurgence of more showers and thunderstorms that could develop over the Big Island or Maui County. And so all areas of the state are going to remain under this flash flood watch at least through early Wednesday, and we may have to extend it.
And a reminder that winter is the rainy season and we're not out of the woods yet. And there's always a potential for severe weather, but specifically wintertime, we typically see more of it.
Yeah, exactly. We are in the peak of pretty much what is our thunderstorm season. We will be wrapping that up here over the next few weeks as we start to transition into the dry season. But we want folks to be aware that with the wet conditions that we've had, again, flash flooding is not going to be hard to get. Right now is not a good time to be away from weather information. You probably want to avoid camping and hiking and all that stuff. Even if it's sunny in your location right now, the weather can change really, really quickly in this type of situation. So we want folks to just sort of be close to the TV or the radio, keep an eye on the weather situation. We've had folks that have had flooding in their houses today. We could see more of that over the next couple of days in different areas. So just everybody needs to stay tuned. If you've been in a flood prone area, if you've gotten flooding before, then you need to know quickly how to take action and move to higher ground if you have to.
You said you got reports of flooding at a house today. Where was that at?
Yeah, there's been some minor flooding in Kailua and Kaneohe. And then we had just sent out a report about I think 4 feet of water at one of the intersections there on the east side of Oahu. So really the kind of situation where when it's raining, it can come down really, really hard. So things can change very quickly, which is why we call it flash flooding. And so we just want folks to be aware that we're still in the situation. And even if the sun comes out for a little bit, don't let your guard down.
We also got an update from Mayor Mike Victorino about the situation on the ground right now. Here's what he had to say.
The Kaupakalua Bridge has been damaged severely, and the Piahi Road Bridge is completely gone. There is no bridge now. It was totally wiped out from the flooding yesterday. So those two I can report are inaccessible. You can come in from either end, but they cannot traverse through the area and get from Hana Highway to upcountry and vice versa from upcountry down to Hana Highway. We still have the evacuation order in place because we want to make sure that everything is safe up at those two dams. Although most of the damage that I've referred to have been above the dam, these are streams and rivers that are above the dam, no damage or no substantial damage below the dam itself. However, for abundance of caution, we're going to wait and see and do an evaluation with DLNR and their dam experts along with our people, and we'll make an evaluation this afternoon whether to sound the all clear.
Some Maui residents we spoke to say the floods came so fast they didn't have a chance to get out. Here are some of their eyewitness accounts.
It was just pretty wild. I mean, I've seen the roads flood to lesser extents on Maui, but that was definitely the only time I'd seen one that was an outright river, and it's like I wouldn't step into that.
We are never prepared. We are not prepared. It's really sad because it's happening more and more, and we are facing some major damages more and more because of that change of weather, basically.
So, I mean, I don't think I've been on Maui for 8 years. I've never seen this much rain come down at once, like for 5-6 hours. Oh yeah, I think that we've seen a storm or two that's had a lot of rain, but not this much rain.
Both emergency evacuation shelters that were set up have since closed. Gordon Gillis is a volunteer with the American Red Cross. He described to us what went down at them overnight.
So we had a 34 overall occupancy last night in shelters. That did die down. We had one that stayed the night in Paia. And then at this morning, we received a number of calls of people who have been impacted by the event. Yeah, we've really been impacted by the COVID pandemic. A lot of our volunteers would be considered in the vulnerable population. A lot of them some of them are older, and they have the time and the energy and the experience to devote time to the Red Cross and to the people of the county here. So that's impacted us. So we definitely are always looking for volunteers for the American Red Cross here, and it's a wonderful experience to do that. It's very rewarding. We have some great volunteers, who dropped everything that they were doing last evening and in a moment's notice rushed to 3 shelters to open them for our residents here to make sure we were capable of handling anything that came our way.
Because of the weather, Haiku Elementary School and Hana High and Elementary told students to stay home today. They'll do distance learning and will try to resume regular blended learning by tomorrow. This incident raises questions about the safety of Hawaii's dams. Many of them are very old. Sammy Salina has the details.
There are 131 dams here in Hawaii that are regulated by the state, including Wahiawa Dam that creates Lake Wilson behind me. So that is one of the 8 other dams that were given a notice of deficiency. It is owned by the Dole Food Company and Sustainable Hawaii. The Earthern Dam was built back in 1906. So the state says 80% of the state's dams were built before 1940 for sugarcane plantations. More than 90% are classified as high hazard. That means if they failed, it could result in the loss of life. The state's Dam Safety Division says it tries to inspect dams every 2 years, but that duration has been stretched out because they are understaffed. The state told the legislature that, quote, 2 out of the 3 engineers in the dam safety unit are vacant. The pandemic contributed to those issues. They were only able to inspect 21 dams last year in person, and they had to do 21 remote inspections, meaning they weren't on site. They called that number of inspections very low, and some dams in the report were noted for deficiencies, including earthquake damage, outlet not functioning properly, spillway undersized, and spillway erosion. They say there were no known dam failures last year. So, of course, as rain continues to pour on the state will be taking a look at the dams like the one in Maui and make sure that they're monitoring those very closely. Back to you in the studio.
With the widespread rain expected to linger, we sent our Billy V out to get a status check of what folks are dealing with on Oahu.
Thank you very much. We're here at Punaluu Beach Park on the windward side of Oahu, where it is coming down buckets, and it has been for a while now. You'll notice that there's water here on the side of the road. It's also ponding on Kamehameha Highway in various parts of the windward side. We're just going to take you up here just a little bit so you can see the background behind me. City and County of Honolulu has come down to some of the beaches, and they have been digging the canals just to make sure that there's enough space for water to get from the Mauka side of Kamehameha Highway underneath to the Makai side and out into the ocean. That's to hopefully mitigate any flooding concerns. Of course, right now, the windward side is really saturated from water from the last 24 hours or so. So that means if it comes down and continues to come down like this, minor flooding may be possible. So if you're in anywhere where, you're used to flooding happening, just know it's probably going to happen. And once again, the rain continues to fall. Let's get it back into the station.
Thank you, Billy, and we want to take you back out live to Hilo. And just a reminder, there is a lot of brown water out there, and there's going to be a lot of brown water advisories that pop up. You're not going to want to get into that stuff, right, Ash?
That's
right. And you have a breaking news update as well.
That's right. This just in, Billy mentioned the rain on the windward side. Well, because of the bad weather, the vaccine clinic at Windward Comprehensive Health Center in Kaneohe has been moved to Windward Community College's Hale Akuakua building. Now, DOH says vaccine distribution at WCC will continue tomorrow and Thursday. So if you had an appointment at the Windward Pod today through Thursday, you now have to go to WCC. That's Windward Community College. Now to the latest numbers from the State Health Department. Health officials are reporting 42 new cases and no new fatalities today. 7 cases on the Big Island, 18 on Maui, 16 on Oahu, and 1 resident was diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, the U.S. House is preparing to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. I spoke with Hawaii Congressman Ed Case earlier about what benefits Hawaii would see from the bill.
We have $350 billion plus in state and local government funding, including over $2 billion to our Hawaii state and county governments, which is critically needed by them right now. We have additional payments to our citizens in need. We have federal unemployment benefits that will be supplemented in a further amount. And we have aid to our local businesses, both through the general programs that we're all familiar with now, PPP, et cetera, but also some of our most impacted businesses, such as our restaurants and entertainment. Some of the areas that are getting specific focus this time around, more so than the last time, was vaccination distribution. In the CARES Act, we didn't have a vaccine yet. Now, obviously, we do, and we're all very focused on trying to get those distributed around the country as fast as possible. This will help Hawaii to get it, basically from the airport out into the community That's major funding. In addition, aid to our schools, directly to our schools, to try to reopen as safely and in compliance with public health regulations as possible.
I know with the stimulus checks, in Hawaii, I think the last report we've seen, 93,000 considered low income here, right? Is there anything more that could have been done to account for that, cost of living here in Hawaii? Because I know the checks go a lot further in some other cities like Vegas, Tucson. Could more have been done to help Hawaii residents in need that money?
We did have a long debate in Congress about whether to distinguish in terms of cost of living for the stimulus checks themselves, but it's just too incredibly complicated to apply that program in a very effective and efficient and fast way. We wanted those stimulus checks to get out to people as fast as possible. And so, there are some places in the country, such as Hawaii, where unfortunately it won't go as far as other places, but it's going to get out there fast, and it's going to get out there to everybody that needs it. And in other areas of assistance, we have actually made those distinctions in terms of cost of living, in terms of unemployment benefits, for example, where Hawaii has had significantly more assistance from the federal government, per person than many other parts of the country. So I think it all evens out at the end of the day.
What would you say to critics of government spending, that are saying 1.9 trillion, this is outrageous?
Well, it's a lot of money. There's no question about it. And I'm as concerned as anybody that this money is all borrowed. It increases our national debt. But I would ask the basic question, if we didn't do this, where would we be? This is the time in the middle of a epic crisis, public health wise and economic wise, that if our federal government did not invest in these areas, we would be in far worse shape all around than if we hadn't done it to start with. So I acknowledge the concerns, I share them, but this is the right way to go.
State lawmakers have introduced 2 resolutions to let vaccinated travelers bypass the mandatory quarantine. The resolutions urge Governor Ige to ease the travel restrictions and let travelers skip the 10-day quarantine if they provide proof that they received both doses of a coronavirus vaccine. Now, the measures cite recent CDC guidelines. Those guidelines say fully vaccinated people can gather with other fully vaccinated people and don't need to quarantine if exposed to someone with coronavirus. Lawmakers say loosening the travel restrictions will help restart tourism and boost the state's economy. Hawaiian Airlines CEO Peter Ingram says he hopes to avoid layoffs altogether. He talked to our Howard Dykes this morning on Sunrise.
On Thursday, you start nonstops to Orlando, Florida. What's the reason behind this particular route?
Well, it's good to be with you this morning, Howard. The reason for Orlando, and really the reason for all these routes that we're starting, we've got 4 new routes starting over the next little over a month. And it really is an opportunity for us to pursue some new route opportunities that we've been looking at for a long time. And they give us a chance to broaden our network at a time when the depth of demand in some of our traditional markets isn't going to be fully restored for the next little while. Orlando in particular is one of the busiest origination points for travel to Hawaii that doesn't have a nonstop service prior to us launching this week. And we see it as a great opportunity. And there's also a lot of Hawaii point of origin traffic that goes there. So a lot of reasons went into to the decision to launch these new routes.
One of the other routes that you're going to be launching or relaunching soon, you'll be returning to Ontario, east of LA, and that's a big air cargo airport. So I wondered if cargo was a factor in that decision.
Not really. We're going to be flying the A321neo there, and that is really not a great cargo airplane since it's a single aisle airplane. We carry a lot more cargo on our A330s. The reason for Ontario is just so you've seen the population grow in that part of Southern California, and it's far more convenient for a lot of people in that part of Southern California than driving all the way to LAX. And we think we have the opportunity to get some travelers who are may use us today, but can use us more conveniently with this new option.
Do you have any active consideration, possibly in the future, of serving either John Wayne or Bob Hope, two other airports in the LA area?
Both of those would be interesting, but for the fact that there's a lot of constraints in terms of what aircraft are viable in those markets. And John Wayne in particular, that has a requirement, a noise requirement in the community that you have to get up to full elevation very quickly. With our A321 Neos and a fully loaded passenger flight and full load of fuel to get to Hawaii, we're not going to be able to meet those noise restrictions. And so that constrains us there. But Long Beach, where we're launching a Maui flight to complement our Hawaii flight, is a way to offer some options for those people south of LA and in Orange County. That is very convenient for people in Orange County as well.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's high-stakes interview with Oprah is being called the biggest crisis for the British monarchy in decades. Tina Kraus is in London with more on the royal response.
Britain's royal family is speaking out about Prince Harry and Meghan's struggles. Buckingham Palace says the whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging the last few years have been for Harry and Meghan. The monarchy also addressed claims of racism after the couple told Oprah someone in the royal family was concerned what color their baby's skin would be when it was born. The palace said the issues raised, particularly that of race, are concerning. While some recollections may vary, they are taken very seriously and will be addressed by the family privately.
The whole royal family fall under suspicion in terms of the race issue. But there's no doubt that's a very serious allegation and something that Buckingham Palace will want to take extremely seriously.
That control and the fear.
Prince Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah has stirred up a backlash in Britain. On the street.
She's having a pop at my country, and I don't like that.
And on TV.
You continue to trash her.
Okay. I'm done with this.
No. Journalist Piers Morgan walked off the set during a heated debate about the royals.
Sir, can I ask, what did you think of the interview?
Earlier Tuesday, Prince Charles ignored questions from reporters. But the royal statement made it clear. Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be much-loved family members. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
And if you haven't seen that Piers Morgan clip, YouTube it. It is really one to watch. Mm-hmm. Pretty intense stuff there.
Well, I read online that he was let go too.
Oh, wow.
From that show.
No, I did not. Good Morning Britain. I hadn't heard that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, breaking news there.
I know.
More Queen news, but a different sort.
That's right. So The Queen's Gambit was a novel, then a Golden Globe winning miniseries on Netflix, and now possibly a musical. Now, the development team, Level Forward, has bought the rights to the original novel, calling it a siren call amidst our contemporary struggles for gender and racial equity. No word if anyone from the miniseries might be involved with the stage show.
And back to our breaking news, severe weather coverage. We just learned that the Polynesian Cultural Center is closing today. It will reopen tomorrow along with the surrounding marketplace. A lot probably closing out there, I would say. Keep in mind there is a flash flood warning in effect right now for Oahu, a flash flood watch for the entire state. That goes until tomorrow morning. That all could be extended as well. As Bob Ballard mentioned earlier, there's actually more rain behind this that has the potential to even bring more severe weather to the state. So stay with us. Your H&N digital platforms will keep you updated all day until the threat has diminished. Ashley's going to be back here at 4 on KHNL, so be sure to tune in for that. Bye, guys.